Well, today we're going to try to take advantage of the fact that it's going to warm up early today, maybe even early this morning. I want to get the clear painted on Chris's seat. If we can get the clear on there, get it out in the garage drying. And that there's two parts on Vlad's APRILLA that we have to do a little bit more work than the other parts. I'll try to get those started. Anyway, and as I look around, we're just looking at assembling the bike. There's really not a lot more. I wanted to do a little more cleanup on it before I assembled it. And there were 2 or 3 other little things I wanted to do, but no major stuff. We are really in the driver's seat. We are way ahead of schedule, and I really like to have it that way. And I'll be really happy the first day Chris sits on the bike, pulls up to a light, and her feet go plop right on the ground. You'll still be able to get down under the windshield, girl. Your girl is in good hands. Anyway, I took another look outside. It looks like we have a painting day. In any time we're working on multiple projects in the shop, scheduling things and leapfrogging really works to our advantage, and we're really taking full advantage of it right now. And yesterday I posted up some of the old video on the end, and I found something really good last night. In fact, we'll maybe start posting it on this video. I found some of the things we did to the original 350 Yamaha restoration I did for Ray, that was of the bike that I bought brand new in '73. And that restoration led to me having my own RD, and I think it actually led to me really having a total memory memory loss or something here. When I rode that bike after it was restored, I knew right away I had to have one. And it's a long story, but basically Malcolm found one on eBay, if I remember right, and he found it in New Brunswick, and I told Karen I needed cash, and Luciano came down with the check, and by 4 o'clock that day, or 5 o'clock, we had this in the back of Luciano's truck. It was quite an adventure. But they're all a unique adventure. Everyone, even this bike that Vlad has, this Mondale, APRILLA Mondale, I don't even know what that is, to be honest. I looked at the pictures, but I couldn't really tell till I see the bike in real life. But they're all fun. They're all worth restoring. They're all worth keeping. And especially if you like Chris, if you're in love with your bike, it's worth taking care of it. It's worth taking good care of it. Or should I say, worth taking care of her. Chris refers to her girl in the feminine term. I don't know how I refer. I think of my bikes as my children. I don't know. My stepchildren. I don't know if that's true. No ice on the pond, and the sun is coming out. It's early. We're up with the roosters. We're going to get some clear on those parts today. And the secret to all good motorcycle restoration, don't skimp on the coffee. And definitely don't skimp on the bird seeds. Look at these guys. That's the magic of life right there. Now, why is it that a cup of coffee always tastes better when I'm sitting watching a ride on a hot summer day, a beautiful day? Oh my God. I don't know why the coffee tastes so good, or the engine sounds so good. I don't know. We've got to do the mandatory oogling here. Now that we've gone for a long ride on the FZR and fed our birds and cleaned the pond, and we get to do a little oogling. Oh boy, that assembly day is coming up. Now, when I have multiple projects in the shop, prioritizing them sometimes a little tricky, but one of the things leapfrogging would tell me today is going to be a really good day to paint and a really good day to get that clear on. So I would not want to spend this day doing anything that I didn't need to have the good weather for. An example, if I had something to polish or something to do inside the garage, this would not be the day to do it. This is going to be a day to paint, and I'm trying to get the most use out of it. I'd really like to get Chris's seat finished, because then the only thing left to do, we have to just wait for those curvy girl, the tire valves. But well, let's see how that weather is out there. Now, as the compressor is building up, the parts are thoroughly dry. Really came out nice, and I'm hoping I can get, the objective here is going to be to try to get 2 nice coats of clear on there about a half hour apart, and put that out in the garage to dry overnight. We get that done, And, well, we're going to see how it's going to come out. I think we're going to take advantage of a pretty nice day out there for painting. And the clear we've been using, and I just bought a new gallon of it. This is going to be the end of this gallon. This has lasted us all winter, 77.54, 77.01, and that just as good, in my opinion, as the 5-star is. Now the first coat is on and it's looking like it's going to dry up beautifully, so we're going to give this 20 minutes, go get the other part. Looks like the paint's laying down just the way it should today. Boy, the wind is blowing, I guess you noticed it. Whoa. Now as that part is drying up, I just think we couldn't have better timing than this. We had just gotten our project finished, and getting this put together in the next couple days, I'm sure Chris is going to be very happy. Alright, we're going to get this part, the first coat of clear on this part, and we'll see what we can do about Vlad's parts while that first coat is drying. It's usually 20 minutes to a half an hour, maybe a little longer in this temperature. I always tell you how I hate Groundhog Day. Look over in next door neighbor's yard. A groundhog came out while I was painting. So it must be Groundhog Day. Okay, that first coat is drying up in this temperature. I'm guessing half an hour, 45 minutes. I want to try to get some clear on those two parts that Vlad has. We can get two birds killed with one stone here maybe. Okay, these are Vlad's. He's got 7 parts altogether. I thought there were 6. Shows you I can't even count. Maybe I need more coffee, but now some of these have a finish on them, and that'll be a whole different animal. But there's 2 of them have no finish on them. That's this one and that one. So I'm going to take those 2, wet sand them down with some 600. Now the problem I'm going to have is these parts that are made with the system that they use here. They always leave a little bit of the mold release agent somewhere in the carbon. And I get fisheye issues, but I have a way of solving that. Well, let's hope I have a way of solving it. What I wanted to show is when you have a part, this has no clear coating on it. And when they mold a part like this, the part is molded in a shell like that, and they vacuum bag it. That's usually the way they would do it, or if they may have some tricky way, but that's basically the most common way. Now, of course, these are real carbon fiber parts as opposed to the ones that are, there's some, these look really nicely made, but of course this is for a high-end bike. But the first thing is to get rid of, now who knows, because Vlad bought this bike off these parts off the internet, who knows, and it's an older bike. I'm not even sure what year it is. Not even sure how to say that word, Mondale. I thought he was the guy that lost the election when I was a kid or something. But the first thing, anytime you work on, I shouldn't say this. Anytime you work on anything, clean it up. I am always shocked when I see people handling parts that are filthy dirty and putting chains back. And by the way, that was a real groundhog out there before. I've seen them before, but like I say, Groundhog Day. Gee, boy, if that's one thing I just despise is having a day that I've already lived. 600 in Dasa sandpaper. We have a little scrap. Let's see if this is going to scuff it the way I want. So, you know, I'll show this up close. What happened is this part already has the carbon fibers coming through. They're not buried in a coat of clear. So this may or may not be super labor intensive. Now you can tell because when I rinse the sandpaper, there's black in it. Well, the black is the carbon. So I want to show. Now I've been real successful at
doing this in the past, but there's always tricks. There's always fish eyes. There's almost always something that you got to deal with. And it looks so easy when it's all done, but it's one of the things that over the years, an example is, and I know my modeling friends will remember this, I made a model of the F7 Tiger Cat, a twin engine, basically World War II airplane. And what happened, I made a mold for a carbon fiber fuselage. And I molded pretty much just like what you have here, but maybe even a little thinner. And there was no material on earth that when I was done would stick to that carbon fiber. And what I had to do is put a layer of what they use in model airplanes called silk span tissue over it to get the paint to stick. And I still, because I record everything on video, I still have that as the absolute nuclear option. But then you have to paint the part. I know he doesn't want to paint this. He wants it to look like it's carbon fiber and it's real shiny. So we will spend a decent amount of time on the prep. And these things look like you just grab the spray gun and do them. And when you actually go down to do them, and Vlad has been here when I've been working on his ports, a lot of times, like on his Benelli, the little tabs that break off on these, it's usually the Italian bikes that have real thin fairings, and when you manhandle them or whatever you do, the tabs break. And then the fairing doesn't line up. And so we have over the years dealt with that many times. So I'm not gonna make this a 2-hour sanding video, but the part has to be scuffed and it has to be clean. And once it is, we'll rub this with Prepsol, we'll prep it, and then try to get a coat of clear on here and see what I always say, is it our lucky day? And that'll be yet to be proven. All right, so we know there's carbon sticking through this, whatever you want to call the finish on this. So now the trick is to see, is this part going to accept the coat of clear without having a meltdown? And we'll only know, I got to make a little bolt. I need something to hold this. I guess up here would be better. I need something to hold this while I'm painting it. Now it's just a little bit trickier than it looks because I want to have this where there'll be no clear where this bolt is. It'll be underneath the mirror mount or whatever mounts here. So that'll be a good choice. Now it looks like maybe we're not going to have a fisheye problem with these, that'll make the job a little bit easier. But again, what we're going to do is try to get the same thing, at least 2 coats of clear on the parts, 45 minutes, half hour apart. So while this one's drying, I'll go prep up the other one, and basically that'll give Chris's parts and these plenty of time to dry. The prep on the first part was good. We didn't have a fisheye issue. That absolutely doesn't mean you won't have one on this part or on the other parts. But carbon fiber, and because they mold it and they use all kind of mold release silicone agents and PVA and God knows what else. It's always a challenge, and sometime you win. Looks like maybe, just maybe. See, I can see the wrinkles in the vacuum bag in the back, so I know that's exactly how they made these parts. But that is the best way probably to make them. Let me get another piece of sandpaper here. But it's just at this point in time, anything you can do to clean these parts. Now, if I did have an issue, I know one of the things you can really do is just keep sanding forever here. But sometimes that doesn't even work, and sometimes it's embedded in the carbon itself that there's something in there that the paint just doesn't like, and they're politically incorrect or whatever they are. I don't know, but anyway, it looks like this will be okay, and I'll get these 2 and get Chris's parts ready, and boy, that'll be wonderful. Then we'll have to deal with the other parts that have a finish on them on another day, because we're going to be running out of time here. And we have of course we have miles today, and It's always nice to get something done early in the morning like this. The sun is shining. Wow. It's good to be Karen Artnowski. That's what I always say. Sometimes she doesn't agree. All right, let's see if it's our lucky day, baby. So I looked around here, everything is drying up just beautifully. We really have an exceptionally nice day to paint here. And so everything I think is dry to the touch now. Time for the second coat on everything and we could celebrate. Well, Karen's yelling out to me, it's time to go get Miles. So we just squeezed this in under the wire. I got all the clear on this. Now, maybe it'll need another coat. Maybe I'll wet sand it out. I don't know. We'll see how it dries up. You never know on these parts. I wanted to show them up close if I can. Because a lot of times they dry with some dust in them, or when you come out in the morning, they're fly paper for about half an hour, 45 minutes. So you never know what's going to happen. Maybe that groundhog will come over and take a bite. But my goal was, and I hope it's going to work out, I got a video from Ray, one that was in that stack, that shows parts of the 350 restoration. It used to be my bike. It was his bike. I restored it. I got to ride it in Florida. And I have, and this is all 10-year-old footage, 10, 11-year-old footage. I don't know what year, but I'm going to put some on the end of this video, assuming Karen doesn't, I'm new late to go get Miles. I gotta get ready to go get Miles, and I'll see if I can put some of that footage on the end of this video. It's 10-year-old footage, so it's nostalgic, it's fun, and it's the way we were. What's the most important thing to start off a day? A good cup of coffee. Especially when you're getting up early in the morning. You want to take advantage of, this should be a nice painting day. Now all this JB Weld that we put on yesterday, it's all dry now, and what I want to do, if you just paint over raw JB Weld, the odds are good it's not going to stick real good. You got to get a tooth on it. Like everything else in life, you need a tooth. So some of these little spots that I did yesterday, today is it's hard enough, and I can do this right before I paint it, prep up the parts with M600, and I've got 6 or 8, maybe a few more parts to do our painting on. We should have some good weather today. Of course, this time of year, who knows. And Ray is due to be here this weekend, so he'll get to see his project bike in real life. Now, a lot of these things that they seem like little details that would be pretty unimportant at the time you do them, but when you see the final part just sitting there, like the swing arm, boy, the swing arm looks beautiful. So this is just a question of a final little prep on all the parts, and then just before I paint them, the M600. And another thing that's funny is, like parts like this, get that all smoothed off, what has to happen is I have to have a way to hold them. Now a lot of times that's harder than you think it is. And I put the pliers, the vice grips, in a spot that you're really not going to see, and when this is dried, and I can just touch that up with a brush. But some of the little parts I had a back mask, the parts I don't want to paint. But one by one, I'm going to spend the next, maybe an hour or so, detailing these out. Because every minute you put into this part of stuff, like even this little detail, putting a little surface so your foot doesn't slide off of that, all these little things pay off. Everything. It's just like having that extra cup of coffee in the morning. But even these parts, something that you would think, it's down low, you're not going to really see, you'll see this, believe me. And I know Luciano put a lot of time into making these parts, so I want them to be like when you show somebody the bike and you say, well, my friend made those parts. You don't look at him and you say, well, yeah, it looks like he made them with, a trowel or something. Anyway, little by little, one by one, these parts are going to be ready to paint. Well, we've lucked out and have another freezing cold, beautifully sunny day. So figuring out how to jig these parts up sometimes can be challenging. So the black urethane that we got from Bob Brookins is just working great. What's nice about this whole process is we'll be able to get the clear on this in less than an hour. So once I lay out all these parts, I'll look at the clock. I've given them about an hour, and then they're ready for the clear. Now with all the black on the parts, and this has worked out great. And we're pretty much ready for the clear. We're just going to do our timing thing. All the little parts are drying. They're all hanging up on little wires. And the black cover's so good, it's not even, you don't even have to give it 2 coats. And then I'll be ready, once I mix up the clear, to do Luciano's little part. Final coat on this guy, and 3 coats on all of the little black parts that we haven't put the clear on yet. Then that's going to be drying between coats. We're going to start working on some of these parts and cleaning them up. But boy, when you look at the difference between the parts that are cleaned, not cleaned. The swing arm just came out. I'm so impressed with that swing arm. Shocks came out nice. Now because this is Monday, and Friday Ray is leaving from North Carolina, he should be here sometime over the weekend. I'm hoping he's going to be able to see our progress so far. And then the next time we get to work on this, or maybe even if the paint is drying later, I don't know what Karen has planned. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to make this seat, but I'll come up with something. That's been a thing that's on my mind for a while now, but we've faced other challenges, so. And cleaning up the back wheel, that'll be a big job. That'll be a relatively big job once we, well, everything's a big job. But even a long journey, and this bike has certainly been a really long journey. When you start to see progress and you start to see parts that look brand new or better, doing the rest of them just seems like it's not that big of a deal. And the black is just drying up here. We're just going to wait out the rest of our time window till this tacks out. Mix the clear, and probably an hour or 2 from now, we'll be able to see this whole thing shimping and shining. So that was 10 years ago today, maybe a little more, a little less, I'm not sure of the date, roughly 10 years. And if you remember back, I tried to put some pictures of this on previously, and I found out I only had a few pictures. This is the bike right here, totally finished, a little Bultaco fairing, fiberglass front fender, custom made seat, one-of-a-kind seat. The paintwork, of course, black and gold, my original race colors from my fleet of race bikes that didn't exactly dominate the world years ago anymore. But anyway, this is the nice little logo on the top of the seat, which Ray really liked. And we really turned some heads up on Bear Mountain when we had it up there. So I just think all of the time we put in this project, and here when Ray was up here, and Luciano had 2 of these, and I have my RD, and Ray had this one. We actually had 4 RDs out. This is one of Luciano's that I did for him, paintwork, kind of an original Kenny Roberts type of paint job. He really did a custom job on this. He put some real expensive pipes. That the seat, I know it was from the AirTech, I believe. He had a GS 1100 gas tank, same tank that's on my GS 1100. There's the paint job I came up with. He had some custom work done on the engine. I rode this bike and it was super, super fast. I think he had bigger carburetors on it. I don't really remember. It didn't matter. We were having so much fun back in this era. And you know what? He eventually went on to get an H1. And Ray bought both of these RDs from him. So they're still in the family. And this restoration, I still have more footage to put on the next couple of days. I have 7 or 8 of these little files. So thanks for watching.